Hello everyone, and welcome back to Metroid Prime Let's Play with Madcrash SJ. Here we are back on the Space Pirate Frigate Orpheon. As soon as I get my bearings, settings are good, save is good. Alright, turret, missile. Ooh, okay, jump there. There's actually a pirate here that we missed scanning the last episode, which was over a year ago, and I apologize for the wait on that. Looks like I struggled to get through this door. Yeah, kind of more to that. I kind of take that to mean that the pirate was dying. Yeah. I still remember playing this game over 10 years ago, when I first got a GameCube, and it was incredible. It was difficult for me to get into at first, simply because of how it progressed. I was impatient at the time, and it took a bit of time for me to really get into it and start appreciating what it is, for what it is as well. Alright, so, well, back to the game. These creatures still contain a heat signature. Not been here for very long. Recently dead. Again, thank you, Captain Obvious. Analysis detects a large amount of blood missing from the carcasses. Well, that's not morbid at all, but hey, Retro Studios is actually gearing towards making games for some more mature audiences, actually. These bodies may have been used for nourishment, pattern consistent with predator behavior. If you'll remember last episode, I said there was a lot of foreshadowing. And again, foreshadowing is a major strong point of the beginning of this game, I think. And the door is closing. We cannot go back through. Nothing to scan. Shooting it doesn't open it. The only way to go is forward. And, well, here we have a cutscene, something you don't see very often in the Metroid games. They're a little more prevalent in Metroid Prime, but they're mostly used just for setting the stage more than anything else. Oh, I never even noticed those effects for the Parasite Queen crawling around before. And yes, this is the Parasite Queen, the first boss in the Metroid Prime trilogy, and also the easiest one. Let's get a good quick scan, because you don't get to do this later. Oh, Parasite Queen. Parasite female, genetically enhanced by unknown means. Again, more foreshadowing. Weak spot detected in the creature's mouth. That's kind of in line with the head being vulnerable area, don't you think? Auto-targeting to acquire this new target. I love how they put that with an exclamation point at the end. It makes it seem all the more urgent. Scans indicate presence of a potent mutagen, origins unknown. Creature exhibits the ability to fire weapon-grade blasts of energy from its mouth, trait not present in the standard parasite genome. Yes, if you'll remember the original parasites we saw back in the original episode, in the first episode, not original, although this was a good view. I'm going off on a tangent. Either way, if you remember those little tiny things, no, they couldn't fire anything at you, they just crawled around. Bioengineering program. You'll see that the pirates do a lot of bioengineering experiments throughout the game. Considerably good results. That's quite the understatement there. Let's see, two charge beam shots, and we've already taken off almost half of its health. Ooh. Good timing on that dodge device, if I may say so myself. Ah, damn. I missed that one. Come on. Alright, there we go. Parasite Queen is down. If you can manage to keep your aim nice and steady, hit the mouth every time, it shouldn't take you more than, I'd say, maybe 5-6 shots maybe. So, because you saw after only 2 escape sequence. Almost a staple for every Metroid game. And Metroid Prime kind of subverts the norm by doing this so early in the game rather than at the end of it. Kind of a nice touch for that on Retro's part. So I'm going to scan the elevator, step into the hologram, keep the scan visor on if you want things to be a little smoother, because up at the top you'll see a terminal here. Scan that, deactivate the turret, which is up in there. So let's get going, we don't want to be stuck here. That was messy. Moving on into the tunnels, let's get in our morph ball here. Pay no mind to the parasites, they're no real threat to you. Just keep going through the tunnels. Found the door open. And more tunnels. You'll notice you move much faster in the morph ball than you do on foot, especially downhill. And so that's why I'm going to be staying in morph ball during most of these segments, simply for the sake of speed more than anything else. Out of the morph ball, let things explode some more. And keep moving on. We've got about 5.5 minutes. Making excellent time. I don't need to worry too much about everything. Open the door. Got a couple of turrets. Take them out quick. Don't get caught waiting on the door a second time like I did. Back in the morph ball and get moving again. Oh hey, you can make better time by using the spring ball. A nice little trick, I suppose. I remember the first time I saw that, I jumped. I jumped bad. I will freely admit that. Alright, moving on. Spring ball. Because morph ball is faster than foot. Alright, another cutscene. This is, well, I would, alright, something about this cutscene after we finish. Here we see Meta-Ridley. Kinda nice how you encounter him in a space station, just like you do in Super Metroid, but this time it's during the escape sequence instead of right before, and instead of fighting him, he flies off. I like how Retro seems like they almost set it up for a fight with Ridley, but then they don't go through with that, and instead just leave you just having to go on through. Alright, another terminal for a turret around the corner. More scan. Also, a note about that scan. You cannot get that scan from the other side, and this cutscene is completely unavoidable. And I like how that Retro actually makes an effort to explain Samus losing her power-ups here, rather than just, oh, what happened? So going up the elevator, very soon, morph ball, missile malfunction, charge beam malfunction, grapple beam malfunction. Yeah, we just lost all those nice shiny things we had in one explosion. Room is depressurizing. Well, I suppose that would be important for going out back into space. Good thing that Samus' suit has a good pressurization. And again, it wouldn't make sense for her to be able to explore underwater without that being pressurized. Alright, and if you'll listen here, if you're a fan of Super Metroid, or just a fan of Metroid in general, I'm sure this sounds very familiar if you've never played Metroid Prime before, although that would be odd, I suppose. But either way, we have the Ridley theme from Super Metroid, but instead remixed, and I really like how the arrangement for this has it sounding so that everything's much more synthetic, rather than the vaguely more natural sounds that other Ridley themes have. Tracking on enemy target and spin lost. Ridley evaded us, basically. So, we're heading down to the surface of the planet, which, if you recall from the scan logs before, is Tallon IV. So, here we are heading to the surface. We have this beautiful landscape, pretty much trapped in an eternal rainstorm. And again, as I said at the beginning of the last episode, the graphics aren't absolutely stellar, but it's still a beautiful game. And to this day, it remains one of my favorite games that I've ever played, and I'm certainly glad that I got it with the GameCube. Although I would have gladly paid the money to actually get the game had I had the money when I was 10. But, well, we're here on the surface of Tallon IV, and I think I'll end things here and see you all next time. Crash SJ, out.